中国的市长具要平时的扎扎实实的民意。美国可以不要啊，有人拿钱支持我就选出来了吧？中国你试试看。
在国外，他从来没有在基层干过，突然就干一个州长，他一点经验都没有，他是怎么当上去的？
A Western definition of democracy is just an election every 5 years. I don't see that as full democracy.
我觉得只要为老百姓做事儿，就不会有什么心虚的事情。
The people of America have been left behind. They've been sold to the corporations.
其实很多不是很了解啊，以为中国的政府官员权力非常大，能干个什么？没有一个事情你能任性。
Americans, they know their system is in crisis. They're unable to believe that the Chinese system is in some way outperforming.
民主的核心啊，其实就是为了人民，无论是西方还是中国，我觉得这是基础。
Are things working is really the question. Are people reasonably happy? Is the country at peace and is it making progress?
From the stories of the people, you may be getting a sense of what democracy in China is all about. At the same time, the mayors did not shy away from any questions about democracy, and our guests were even more outspoken.
西方媒体会质疑中国的民主制度，特别会说中国官员不是通过竞选而产生的。您怎么看？
我们的干部是一步一步上来的，就像从幼儿园到大学毕业的，我们是全过程的民主。什么叫全过程啊？不是选举完这5年做完就没了，我们是年年都在做事。中国的市长具要平时的扎扎实实的民意，没有平时的基础，你不可能，你冒不出来。
所以您觉得中国市长是首先是干出来的，是吗？
是干出来了。我们要有学历档案，要有履历档案，还有业绩档案，你才有准入门槛。美国可以不要啊。
中国的官员把他主要的精力都放在经济发展和这个社会民生了，最主要的还是在你当政之后，如何为老百姓来服务的。民主的核心啊，其实就是为了人民，我觉得这个才是我们的关键。
The government here, they really feel the need to make ordinary people's lives better and more wealth in a multitude of different ways. Chinese officials can only be judged by their performance.
市政府领导班子商量事情的时候，为什么要用末位发言制？
我们在任何事项的决策里头，主要领导都是最后发言，因为你一开始发言，就难免让大家想，哎，你的意见是什么？你的意思是什么啊？就是不能让他敞开他的观点、他的想法。开政府常务会，一个主要的部门汇报，汇报完了之后，就各个部门表态。表完态之后，一些涉及民生问题的议题，我们也会请一些老百姓的代表。发完言之后，就是政府的副秘书长到秘书长，完了再从副市长讲，也都是按照次序，就是排前面的最后发言，把你的真实想法全部说出来，到最后市长肯定是最末位。
People were allowed to express their concerns and the problems and the issues. So you have democracy that is sectioned and scaled and is very effective in that sense.
我们所有的事项啊，大小事务，都要经过民主决策，所有议题都不是市长能够决断的，必须得有层层的专题会、常务会等各种会议集体讨论进行决策。同时呢，市长还要接受这个人大和其他方面的监督。我们每年都要形成一个政府工作报告，这个报告也是经人大通过以后落实。那么我们人大的代表 大部分都是来自于基层，充分地体现了人民的意愿。
The thing that impresses me is the formality of having to go through and have people at every village contribute their thoughts. Listening to people is the important part of this process.
无论是在我们决策还是在实施过程当中，是不允许我们拍脑袋决策的，要征求老百姓的意见的。在后期的评估和评价上也是讲民主的，群众的诉求都会反映上来的。12345就是市长公开电话，全国都是一个号，只要打这个电话，这件事情呢就会得到解决。
Counties, township, village, district can all together give their voice, give their opinion, give feedbacks, give inputs, give insights. They can debate, they have the right to give their opinion. The people here having strong power in hands.
您可不可以也跟我们讲一讲民主监督？
因为你是人大选举出来的，比如说我们的财政预算花的每一分钱，在人大层面上以后全是公开的，专项的监督。你比如中央巡视，一个巡视组住进来以后2个月，他就收集线索，必须要有答案。他正常也都是开的，是有报必查，把权力关在制度的笼子里头，让你不能任性用权。
It's not just this vote or this selection criteria, but also this citizen hotline, also someone writing letters, also going out and listening to people, and how all of these things come together and produce results, which are then evaluated, right?
人大在我的行政职责过程当中，它是全过程监督我。我要决策做一个重大投资或者产业发展，我要提交人大审议通过。我政府不能随便来的。政协它是对我进行民主监督，它2个监督不一样，一个是法律的监督，一个是民意的监督。
当了2年半的纪委书记，也抓了很多贪官。我也问过领导，就是为什么要让我去做纪委书记，那样会得罪很多人。他说，如果纪委书记做好了，不会得罪人的，会成全人的。我的反腐在整个泉州来讲力度是空前的，但是没有因为我的反腐，老百姓反对我，包括跟我同级的官员疏远我，而是他们都很维护我，因为我所打掉的是那些真正侵害老百姓利益的人。
You see leaders that have made mistakes or that have broken the law, whatever, being sent to prison, being punished. We don't see that very often in Western countries. Accountability is what helps create that trust in government.
So I think this really begins to illustrate in real material ways what this concept of whole process democracy means. You would cultivate talent systematically, right? They're party schools, but also cadre schools. So that, when you get elected to a certain level, you go to a special training and you keep going up. And I think that's one of the key differences between what we do in the US, just, electing our guy to represent who we already are versus preparing someone who's going to bridge you into the future.
Actually, a really democratic system is one where it's more continuous. So that's where I think the idea of whole process democracy has merit.
您觉得什么叫民主？
民主应该就是听到更多人的声音吧。
什么事大家共同协商来定，这就是民主。
民主这个东西，意义很广泛。现在这个中国就是很民主的国家呀，我也没感觉到不民主啊。
And I did ask pretty much everyone what is democracy. How do their answers change your mind?
Most people just say like, what? All I care is that my life is good and that my children will have a better life. And that's what's actually taking place. There is democracy. It's just that it's not sold through the microphones. They experience democracy, but to them it's like intangible.
If democracy is defined as representative government, then I think it's safe to call China a democracy, in the sense that people can look at the government and think there's a person who's trying to enable me, enable my life in some way, and enable it to be better in some way.
What you're trying to do is manage and bring opportunities and prosperity and wealth and well-being for the people. No matter how you got there, you have something that you could call democracy.
It's incredible the extent to which people's well-being is eroding, the extent to which we've seen a decline in real wages in the United States since the 1980s, right? Whereas the opposite has been happening here.
The election system in the West is mostly about promises. We will, I will. I alone can, right? In China, it's more about, okay, this is what I've done, this is what I've done, this is what I've done. Your focus is on a different direction.
After a few years, if they haven't delivered on any of them, then they can be voted out.
You elect a leader that's just not capable, you've lost 4 years, and he may have sent you in the wrong direction.
The ordinary people get a chance to voice their displeasure when the election cycle takes place, and not much outside of that.
What about the non-election season?
Then it's either you're attached to a big interest group or you don't have much luck.
Would you call America backsliding democracy?
I don't think that the American system is sufficiently democratic if you have 1 million people dying unnecessarily from COVID because you're unable to build consensus. This isn't democracy, this is a tyranny of chaos.
Well, I think that America is incorrectly named as a democracy. It's a plutocracy. In America, legislation is done in favor of the corporations. It's the capitalist essence of the country that is a cancer to democracy. It's eaten democracy.
Congress is supposed to be the democratic backbone of the American system, and Congress has become so polarized and so unable to work effectively on a national level. So in this sense, American democracy has been in decline for decades.
Do you think the United States will ever accept China as a democracy?
Maybe we'll reach a point where the United States feels that it has to accept China as a whole political system, as something that it can't interfere with anymore. Their concept of democracy might be different, and we should be happy as long as it works for the place that it works in.